So I had a situation on the job the other day where initially I had a feeling that I was being singled out for something. And as I talked with the supervisor about it, I started thinking like, okay, maybe I'm not being singled out. So I'm going to give you guys the story the best way I can in a short period of time. I'm going to try to. So we're at work. And for the last 3 weeks, we have, because of the snow, we had to switch our days for work. So Cass was coming in. We don't work Friday night. So Cass was, okay, guys, it's mandatory. You guys got to come in Friday night. Due to me keeping the Sabbath, I'm like, I didn't have to come to work, right? So for 3 weeks, I hadn't come to work. But on Sunday, they didn't require people to come to work. So I missed 3 days. I missed a day of work for 3 weeks, which I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that. So this weekend, we had a little pre-shift, and guys said, all right, so guys, this weekend we're running routes on Saturday. So we're going to need volunteers to come in and work Monday. We're going to need you. It's mandatory you guys come in Friday night. We're going to need volunteers to come in Monday. Now, if you are it's going to go by seniority. If we don't get volunteers, we're going to start at the bottom and work our way up. So some of you on the bottom are going to have to be you're going to have to come in. You're going to be made to come in. Now, I've been on this job for 13 years, and I'm far from the bottom. Okay, far from the bottom. And on my crew, I am number 3. Okay. So everybody, goes back to what they're doing. 5 minutes later, they called me on the intercom, say, hey man, come back up front real quick. I talked to you. He said, hey man, look, because you can't work Friday, we need you. It's going to be mandatory for you to come in on Monday. And I'm like, Monday morning. So he's like, yeah, because you're going to have to work a few hours. It's only going to be a few hours. I say, so it's not helping me at all for me to be in here for 2 or 3 hours when my shift, normally I can get 8 to 10 or 8 to 9 hours. I'm like, this is not helping me. And I wouldn't be violating the Sabbath, honestly. And this is what I had to be rational about the situation. I wouldn't be violating the Sabbath. But what would be happening is the fact that you're singling me out and you say, well, because you didn't work for the past 3 weeks on Friday and everybody else had to come in and you didn't, you were chosen, basically. And then he says, well, it's not fair. What do you mean it's not fair? It's not fair that it snowed, okay? I don't control the weather, right? And I guess it was because it was a snow day, or because it did snow pretty bad, and then it was just all ice for like 3 weeks. They was like, all right, you got to come in and work. Everybody else had to. Well, nobody had to come in and work Monday. We just took that Sunday off. I took the hit because, bro, I'm just not gonna do that. Okay, and so this past Friday, it came to me, and I'm sitting like, what do I say? What do I do in this situation? And then I'm thinking like, okay, I figured it out, and I thought long and hard about it. I say I was singled out because you said that you were going to pick from the bottom those who did not volunteer. You say if nobody volunteers, we're going to choose from the bottom. Like I said, bro, I'm number 3. And there's only a few months between me and those people in terms of who got hired first, in terms of the order we got hired. And so I'm thinking to myself, man, I don't, how can I address this? And once again, folks, I wouldn't have been violating the Sabbath, but it was the point that you said that you was going to choose from the bottom. So I get myself together and I go in there and talk to the supervisor and stuff, and we have a conversation. And the way I interpreted this whole thing is like, well, you could say what you want to say, but the decision is still made. And I said, well, I feel like I'm singled out because because I choose to keep the Sabbath. I've been working here for 13 years, bro. And then the same person I'm talking to is the one that made arrangements for me to work the shift that I work now because I keep the Sabbath. And I'm like, Why are we having this problem? Why would you even come to me and say, well, it's mandatory for you, but it's not mandatory for nobody else? And you're going to say, I'm not being singled out? I'm like, come on, bro. Think about what you're saying right now. You feel me? So we have a conversation, and I'm not going to go into detail about it. We have a conversation, and I'm like, okay, I just want to understand some things. And so he says briefly, like, well, we got routes running Saturday. I'm like, okay, what they got to do with me? And then he says, well, nobody else volunteered. I'm like, okay. Thinking to myself, what else does that have to do with me? Because you said you was looking for volunteers and you choose from the bottom. I'm not close to the bottom. Out of 24 people, 22 people on the shift, no. I'm not even, I don't want to be, don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Don't talk to me like I'm stupid. You feel me? Oh, I'm not talking to you like you're stupid. I was like, okay. And then he was like, well, we can go to HR to see if that's what it seems like. And I'm thinking to myself, bro, we don't have to go to HR. You need to go to HR to figure out if that's what it is. Because during the conversation I'm having with this supervisor or this manager, I'm thinking, now I'm going to give y'all the gist. I was talking to two different people. Well, first, and then I went and talked to the manager. I was talking to the supervisor first, then I went to talk to the manager. And I'm talking to the manager, and I'm like, it basically sounded like you got it fixed. So he calls me, but before he called me back up to the front, dude was like, well, tell him he's got to work mandatory Monday. Bro, it was 10 minutes since somebody volunteered. 10 minutes. Oh, ain't nobody else volunteered. Bro, we got 5 hours left in the shift. 5 hours left in the shift. You go, oh, ain't nobody else volunteered. Come on, bro. It's been 10 minutes. Come on, bro. Don't do that. Don't try to play me like that. And nobody's singling you out. I said, okay, that's fine. That's fine. If you feel that way, oh, well, we can go to HR. We don't have to go to HR. I say, I tell you what, if you think I should come in, okay, let me just understand this. And then as he was like, no, you're not being singled out and everything. And what was getting me is that as I was speaking, he was cutting me off a little bit. And, he's basically saying that I didn't have a say-so in the situation. I'm like, but you're not being fair. We had this situation once before when they said that we're going to, and granted, one of the main reasons we're not going to work, went to work on Saturday was because of the Super Bowl, ladies and gentlemen. We get the Super Bowl off every year for like the past 7 years I've been working there. Yes, we get the Super Bowl off every freaking year. We don't work because my shift comes in on Sunday night at 11 o'clock. Some of them come in at 8. Other people who work early to set up and everything, 8 o'clock. We don't work on the Super Bowl night. Have not worked on Super Bowl night for 7 years. So you mean to tell me it's not even a national holiday? Not even a holiday in the slightest. And because nobody else want to volunteer, you're gonna make it mandatory for me, and then say, well, because you didn't work on Friday, that's why we picked you. And you want to say that's not singling me out? Come on, people, y'all, you gotta. I'm telling you, folks. I wanted to go back in there and talk to him about the situation. And the more I thought about it, I say, hey, you are singling me out because your reasons for making it mandatory for me do not make sense relative to the situation at hand, right? Relative to everything that's going on. And then one supervisor mentions, well, it's not fair that you didn't have to work on Friday. It's not fair to them. What do you mean it's not fair? So when you have an employee, a male employee who has a girlfriend, not a wife, who is pregnant, when that child is being born, he can take off. If I'm saying it right, he could take off for maternity leave. And I think it's like a month or two, something like that. I don't want to, quote it wrong, but I think it's like no more than a month, no more than 2 months, no more than that. Whatever, regular maternity leave is. Well, however long she's supposed to be out, he can stay with her. You feel me? So is it unfair to those who are married? I mean, they're not married, and then is it unfair to those who don't have children? Because if you sick and you got to be out, it's got to be some real some real situations to keep you from getting fired. You feel me? I know there's ways around it. I just found out recently, but is it unfair for people who are not married? It's crazy. It's crazy. And then you guys say that you honor religious beliefs, and I was like, okay, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? And then there's people who would not stand up, because we had a situation, and then Shorty was like, well, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to go. It was a long time ago. Shorty was like, I'm supposed to go to church in the morning. And they wanted us to work Sunday morning from like 4 to 5. It would come in like either 4 or 5. I want to say it was like 4 till like we was done. And we had a little bit of work to do, not a whole lot. And she's like, well, I got to go to church. I said, won't you tell them you got to go to church? Won't you tell them that? Well, I'm going to look at it as a blessing. How is it a blessing? And when you go deep into what the Sabbath means and all this other stuff, like if you want to call it a blessing, I guess you could, if that's how you see it. But yeah, she refused to speak up. But it didn't fall on any other time they was working. You know, these cats didn't want to work. Like one time they didn't want to work Saturday night. They didn't want to work Sunday morning. They wanted to come in Saturday morning or Saturday night or something like that. And I was like, well, damn. She would say, oh, we're supposed to be a majority rule. Some people didn't even vote. And then he wanted to say, well, they voted and that's it. I was like, he was being rude about it. So I missed out on some money. So as that happened a few times, I was like, I don't give a shit about missing on money like that for that reason. You feel me? I'm not upset about that. But at the end of the day, folks, you gotta put your foot down and talk to these people whenever you feel like you being railroaded or you feel like things ain't fair. So needless to say, I'll go back out there and I'm like putting things together. I'm gonna go back and talk to him about this because I am being singled out and I'm trying to make sense of it. And so he comes back to me and he said, hey man, don't worry about coming in Monday morning. Don't worry about coming in Monday morning. I said, okay. I left it at that. There's nothing else for me to say, but I made this video for folks that's out there, man. Speak up for yourself, man. Find a way to do it. If you can't do it, talk to somebody who can give you the words to process this BS that you're going through. I'm telling you, you cannot lay down, man, and let people step on you. You cannot afford to do that. I told my children that when they was young. I said, look, if you feel like I'm out of place, let me know. You could text me. You could write it down. You can go tell your mama and then have your mama come talk to me. The reason I gave them those steps is because that's the same thing they're going to have to do in the real world. Same thing they're going to have to do in the real world. You can't allow things to happen when you feel uncomfortable, when you know you've been done wrong. You have to stand up and say something. You have to. They're going to step on you again. They're going to do it again. So, yeah, I had to go in there and holler at that dude, man, because, I mean, it's just getting weird. It's just getting weird for me. So, I just lay low and I don't even speak to too many people anymore like that. But, hey, it is what it is, man. Don't allow yourself to be bullied or stepped on no kind of way, okay? That's all I got to say for right now. I hope you guys got something out of it. Know what I'm saying? I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. Peace. Stay smooth.